Take that and the flood. It's BBC Radio Stoke. Hello, good morning. 15 minutes past 10. Now, did you hear the one about the bus driver who fancied to change of direction, so he became a coach? Boom, boom. It's actually not a joke. In a nutshell, it's the story of my first guest today, Burslem-based Mark O'Donoghue. Thank you for joining me today, Mark.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Perry.
So, you were a bus driver, and then you became a life coach, and this is what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, life coach, psychological therapist.
Okay. Tell me about the bus driving then. How long were you bus driving for?
I was actually bus driving for 12 years.
Round here?
Yeah, local based. I was based for PMT at the time. I was based in Burslem Depot.
What route were you on?
I was doing loads of routes, mainly Crewe to Ranley and Mere Squares.
Are they still all up here?
I was still up here, yeah. You never forget, doing the same route 3 billion times, you know.
I bet. And what kind of job is that? It strikes me as one of those jobs that can be at the same time boring yet really responsible.
Yeah, the first few years, I really, really loved it. It was a really good job. And it takes a lot of attention, because you're
all
focusing,
the time.
Because you're carrying the most special cargo, aren't you? You're carrying passengers, so it's really, realistically, it's a lot harder than say wagon driving, for instance.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a bigger damage limit, isn't there, if you have a crash. And obviously, especially if you're driving bigger buses with, say, the long overhangs, if you've got like a 6-foot overhang at the front or whatever, you can't really cut round corners very, very easily. So,
and the routes are very intricate. You're going around all the estates, aren't you? You're going through town.
Well,
the lorries tend not to do that,
yeah,
do they?
you can drive through Mount Cop and places like that, country lanes and single-deckers, and obviously you've got to be aware of low bridges if you're in a double-decker, which some bus drivers made that mistake.
You've never done that?
No, I've never done that. I've never done that.
That's a good one, isn't it? So you were a driver. So you kind of enjoyed your job at first, but then was there a point when you thought, is this it? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, after about 4 or 5 years of bus driving, I just had like a burning desire, I suppose, for do something more of a vocation. I didn't really see bus driving as a vocation.
No.
I never saw myself as retiring as a bus driver. But I suppose bus drivers, it's in the blood. If you retire, if you leave bus driving, you tend to go for coach driving or something similar, or taxi driving or wagon driving, van driving, and it tends to be in the blood. You can't sort of escape that. So I had to use a lot of psychological techniques on myself to get...
Really?
Yeah.
So one part of you wanted to carry on bus driving?
Yeah, because before I was actually bus driving, I read a load of books. I've always been interested in the power of the thoughts, what you
power
think.
Of the mind.
Yeah, exactly. I read a lot of Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar books, Magic of Thinking Big and Think and Grow Rich. And
these all the PMA people, the positive mental attitude people.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's all about like laws of attraction and all the secret, what they call it now.
Okay.
And so I was always fascinated with how the mind controls a person's capabilities and how the mind controls your perception.
And this is known by scientists. I mean, you just got to look at the placebo effect, haven't you, in health?
Well, exactly, yeah.
Which is recognised. In fact, you have to mitigate against it in medical tests.
And it makes me laugh when, say, a doctor or a pharmaceutical company knock things like hypnotherapy or psychological therapy, because all their sort of work is based upon a placebo. All their testing is tested against the mind.
It's tested against a placebo, isn't it? So they have to accept, for a start off, that the mind is mighty powerful.
Well, exactly.
In determining things we don't understand.
And they'll do, with some medications, they'll do literally hundreds of studies, hundreds of tests, before they can get 1 or 2 above the mind, above the placebo, which is really interesting.
Yeah. So the testing against sugar drugs.
They only need about 2% success above a placebo to make that drug effective.
So after years of attending life coaching courses, did you just sort of think, well, this is what I want to do? Is it a bit like teachers inspiring other pupils to become teachers? Is that how it worked with you?
I suppose what it was is I've always had this in the back of my mind about when I was from a young child. Actually, I always loved magic and stuff like that, and things that are sort of a little bit weird and what you can't explain. And I suppose after bus driving about 4 or 5 years, and I wanted that vocation. It's just come out of the blue. Actually, I just saw a job advertisement in the national press trained to become an hypnotherapist.
Oh, right. Oh, it's that way round.
So it was that way around. So it actually started as a hypnotherapist in the mid-90s, while training. It was a correspondence course, so I could carry on bus driving while I was learning all the different modules at home. And a couple of times a year I used to have to go South Normanton and like a sort of hotel conference centre for doing practical work. Passed the exam with that, and then a couple of years after that I got an invite to train with Paul McKenna down in London to a technique called neuro-linguistic programming.
NLP.
Which I never heard of at the time, and I never heard of Richard Bandler as well, and he was one of the trainers. And when I actually trained down London with Paul McKenna and Richard Bandler, it was like my mind was blown. I thought hypnotherapy was very effective and very powerful, but learning NLP from the guy who created it is...
And do you employ neuro-linguistic programming techniques?
Yeah, I do NLP all the time. I do a mixture of all things, to be honest, NLP, life coaching, everything. Because from the mid-90s, I've probably been going on about 2 or 3 courses at least each year, which are linked with psychology and...
Right. So you offer courses, yet you go on courses as well. Are they different sorts of courses? The ones you're on and the ones you're offering?
Well, yeah.
I'm trying to tease the whole thing apart, really.
The ones that I've been on are more like, certificate courses, diploma courses, training me to help people. The courses that I offer people are courses to help themselves
get to a different
self-management.
Okay. We'll dig down into this. We'll find out what the Purple Smartie is all about as well, and your connection with Nick and Eva Speakman, who some people may have heard of. My guest today, if you just musing over who this song's written about, Layla, Derek and the Dominoes, Eric Clapton, of course. It was actually George Harrison's missus, I think. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah,
I'll look into that. I guess we'll look at that. Layla, classic. It's BBC Radio Stoke. My guest today is Mark Donoghue from Burslem. Your business is actually based in Burslem, isn't it?
It's based in Burslem Enterprise Centre.
This is Purple Smartie. You're a life coach. Why did you choose the name Purple Smartie for your business?
Yeah, well, I wanted something that was easy to remember, that I don't have to say it once and people remember it. I also wanted something that was fun and something that was associated with psychology, life coaching, hypnotherapy, without scaring people, because a lot of these hypnotist names are quite scary and people...
CBT, NLP,
meta language and stuff like that. So,
Smartie's not scary, though.
So I was thinking, well, the first thought, what does everybody like? What does nobody have a phobia of? Which people can get phobia of anything, to be honest. And the thing that come to life was chocolates. Yeah. So I thought, well, I can't, everybody loves chocolate. There's not many people that dislike chocolate. So I was thinking Maltesers. Then I had a brain wave about me life coaching days. There was Ernest Locke's goal setting acronym, which was some people might know it as SMART goals, but when I did life coaching, it was actually SMARTIES. The IES that stands for Inspiring, Ethical and Stretching Comfort Zones, which sort of fits.
I'm on the nursery slope, so I need help with the SMART.
So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time specific. And so I thought, well, I can't just call it Smarties. I need to give it an identity. And I thought the best thing to do is give it a colour. So I was thinking about what colour can you use? Would it go with Smarties something or something Smarties? And then it just come to me about purple, because colour purple is associated with magical and mystical work. Plus, one of the greatest hypnotherapists of all time is a guy called Milton Erickson. He used to be colourblind, but he had an obsession, sort of, with the colour purple.
Even though he was colourblind?
Even though he was colourblind, yeah. There was something about purple that he just couldn't put his finger on. He said it's a very hypnotic colour. So it means a lot to you then, Purple Smartie? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you've got Purple Smartie now. You're one-man band, are you?
That's right, yeah.
And is that how it usually works with life coaches?
Yeah, I do some collaborations with people. Like if I'm doing... it's like I'm working on a collaboration at the minute with a guy who does all analytical things. So we'll go into a company, use loads of questionnaires to see what their how they are performing now.
Profiling, that kind of thing.
Profiling, yeah, exactly. And then I'll do like stress management workshops or some like morale building workshops, and then he'll go back in and say 6 months later, see how much of an improvement that the staff have made.
Do you have like a guru, somebody who inspired you, somebody who you would model your profession on, your particular work on?
The biggest, obviously I've got loads of mentors, loads of inspirations, but the biggest one would be Richard Bandler. He was the co-creator of NLP, and when I met him back in 2000, I think it was, so it's about 12 years ago now, he just blew my mind. It was just absolutely amazing what he did.
There's a lot of splits in your kind of life, isn't there? You know, you get your talk therapists have different views. As I understand it, there seem to be those that like to rake over the past and those that like to move forward from this point on. Sort of CBT versus psychotherapy. There are other splits as well. A lot of people are a bit sniffy about NLP as an idea. I know Darren Brown's not a big fan of NLP, is he?
But Darren Brown actually trained with the same guys who I trained with. He actually trained with Bandler at McKenna-Breen about a year or two before me. And he's got, I've had very similar teachings to Darren Brown as well.
But with these splits that sort of pervade your industry, do you have to nail your colours to a particular mast and go, that's the kind of guy I am and they're my beliefs?
Not really, because the way I work is I work sort of out of the box.
Right.
I don't stick to textbooks. So if somebody, say, comes to me with a phobia, I won't necessarily use an NLP fast phobia technique.
Okay.
I might use something completely different, what's for a completely different...
So I'm getting the sense you think it's useful to be across all disciplines.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting world how it sort of eats itself in many senses, the therapist world. But looking from the outside in, and you worked with Nick and Eva Speakman, didn't you, as well?
That's
They've been on TV and all sorts.
Yeah, they've been on TV, celebrity magazines.
What are they like themselves?
They're just how you see them on TV. They're very, very zany, very high energy, but they're very, very lovely as well. They sort of, when you first meet them, they're sort of very Americanised, like sort of high five.
Because they are British, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very. Yeah, they live in Rochdale, so
they look very polished. There's very American look to them. I've seen their website as well.
But they've got a similar background to me. They weren't born with loads of money and stuff. They were, they were born in like terraced houses. I think Eva's father was an alcoholic and stuff,
Right.
what she openly says in the thing. So they've sort of gone from like a rags to riches.
And are they mates of yours? Did you know them personally, or was
I know them personally to talk to.
Yeah.
I've met them quite a few times. They train me up in their own personal technique, what the phobia technique called visual coding displacement therapy, and they've certified me in that particular approach.
And you can use those
I can
techniques
use that,
now,
and I'm actually insured to actually use that.
And again, it's another one of those scary phrases. I'm nervous to ask you what that is.
What visual coding displacement? Yeah. It is actually based on NLP anyway. It's like an NLP technique.
Yeah.
But they've sort of personalised it. But basically, it's got the concept of your brain actually sees everything, hears everything, feels everything. Your eyes and ears just let in frequencies. So everything's produced in your brain.
Okay, yeah.
And all your programming, everything that you do, let's say tie your lace, open the door, there'll be a little program in your brain.
That makes sense.
To do that. And it'll be in a different part of your brain. And obviously you've got a visual cortex right at the back of your head, and you've got an auditory cortex at the side of your head. And when you're actually looking, where your eyes are looking depends on where you're accessing that part of your brain. So if you're looking up, you're actually accessing the visual cortex.
I've heard interrogators can use this.
If you look towards your side, towards your ears, then you're accessing the auditory cortex.
Right.
And obviously your emotions and everything are just above your brainstem, so they're down here.
Yeah.
So you're looking down whenever you're accessing an emotion.
Okay.
And
so if I said to you, how do you feel about this, you might look down a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's how I can tell how a client is processing that information. I'll say, tell me about such a thing. And if they're looking up, I know that they're making pictures.
Yeah.
So I can say, well, what can you see? Where can you see?
You can dig down a bit quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And
fascinating. And you must have so many techniques like that. No, but you're a man, and it's only fair to highlight this. You're a man who gets results, and I want to talk about your results. We're going to have a bit of Michael Bublé now. Michael Bublé, haven't met you yet. BBC Radio Stoke. We were talking about Layla shortly earlier, and I said a short while ago, and I said I think it's a song written about George Harrison's wife. I think, and then I looked through the glass as I often do for confirmation. And what I want them to do is get busy with the facts, get on Wikipedia, and then type up, yes, it's definitely true, or no, actually, it was written about blah blah. All they send back to me is George Harrison's wife. I think. Well, that's what I said. That's my line. I think I can bring any amount of uncertainty into this broadcast. I need definite answers. It was Stu actually off the Breakfast Show who said that. So he's one of me. He's a DJ. He doesn't know nothing. He can only think stuff. Right, today I'm talking to Mark O'Donoghue. He's a life coach, and he's a coach who actually produces some quite startling results, as you'll find out shortly. First, though... Hello, good morning, I'm Perry Spiller. Mark O'Donoghue's my guest today, local lad. You Stoke born and bred?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was actually born in Burslem.
Yeah, say Luke, Book and Took.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were talking about all that yesterday. But now you're a life coach, which also, it does sound very LA, doesn't it? The whole, I'm a life coach.
Yeah, obviously in America it's much bigger and it's been going for much, much longer than in the UK.
We in Britain get the impression that these Yanks with their life coaches and therapists, it's quasi-religious almost, isn't it?
Yeah, you know,
I'm
just about...
guessing you're not like that.
No, just about, just about every famous person or every successful person in America has got some sort of life coach.
Yeah.
In fact, I was interested with the Olympics in 2012. A lot of the sports people were saying about they've got their own NLP or sports coach kind of people.
And we can come to terms, as ordinary folk, we can come to terms with a sports coach. You know, footballers need a coach.
Yeah.
Boxers need a trainer. Mm-hmm. It's the NLP side of it. It's like, why do we need that?
Yeah, well, it's like, Mike Tyson had a hypnotherapist before he become professional to actually get him to that level. And he in fact, I think he used a hypnotherapist about 4 times a week.
Really?
To actually, because it helps you with your focused state of mind as well, because say if you've got 2 opponents of the equal strength and equal capabilities, it's the one with the best mind, the one with the more focused.
You hear golfers say this especially, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it happens with sports teams as well.
And tennis players, of course, very
athletes,
gladiatorial, isn't it?
Yeah.
The NHS have used your skills.
Yes, that's right. I was doing the NHS stop smoking services for around about 3 years. I was subcontracted to do those services. And the first sort of 12 months I was based in Coventry, a Coventry company, so I was working all around the West Midlands, different clinics, different locations, and then the last 2 years the NHS Stop Smoking Services was actually working locally in the Longton Mere area.
Were you successful?
Yes, I was hugely successful. They actually audited me as 91.7 success.
How does that compare with other techniques?
The national average is around about 22%.
There you go, that's quite interesting, isn't it?
So
you're getting something right.
4 times.
For all my mocking, you're getting something right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you get a lot of this? Because we are very, in Britain,
it's
we are
all
very...
in mind. And
we're a bit WYSIWYG, aren't we? What you see is what you get in Britain. And the whole, all this stuff going on in the mind, it's not true, though, is it? You get a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly. And, I laugh with the people, especially like when he talked to me about Little Britain, that hypnotist on Little Britain, because, I love watching Little Britain and the hypnotist and that. And I don't see it as a mockery or anything. No. It's just communication, isn't it? And that's what I do.
Do you... Is your life sorted itself? It's a very personal question. Mm-hmm. I'm reminded of the Crane brothers, Fraser Crane and Niles.
Yeah.
The hypnotherapists telling everybody else how to live their lives, and they're the most neurotic people you could ever meet themselves. Mm-hmm. And obviously, that's the whole comic hook of that show.
Yeah, exactly. And see, a lot of...
But is your life sorted?
My life? Well, obviously I'm managing it, but obviously I've got problems. I was in a car accident 5 years ago, so I've got managed the pain. I'm not using any medications.
And do you still feel pain from that?
I'm managing it, so I don't feel pain now because I'm actually managing it.
Right.
But I've actually got 4 torn discs, so if anybody's got a torn disc, they can sort of relate to what pain feels like.
I've heard that's painful.
And obviously trapped nerves and the like. The only time I sort of feel pain is probably at night when I'm asleep because I'm not managing it.
Right.
So I use the techniques with myself as well for, pain management.
And do we all need some kind of therapy?
I suppose we could all do with some kind of... Because if you're not, progressing in life,
Yeah.
and you're standing still, you're just existing, aren't you? You're not living.
Okay.
Because life's more of a journey.
I'm an horrendous procrastinator. I could barely bring myself to finish this sentence. That's how much I procrastinate.
Right, yeah.
You finish it for me. What would you do for me?
So how successful are you at procrastinating?
I'm very good at it.
Well,
It's a skill. I can put off anything forever.
so why would you want to get rid of it? If you're very good at
Because
it.
it holds me back. It's
All right, so what does it hold you back from?
any number of things, I guess. I'm not an astronaut. There you go.
You're not an astronaut? would you want to be an astronaut?
I might have wanted to be an astronaut.
How do you know that you might have wanted to be an astronaut?
So, what, you question the actual procrastination itself, then? I see it as a big problem of mine.
Yeah, and obviously when a client comes to me, I know what the end goal is. I know that they want to quit smoking, or they want to get rid of the phobia, or stop procrastinating. And I'll sort of go around so I'm not facing it direct. So, because obviously if I face it direct, then they put barriers up. Whereas if I go around it and start questioning other things, then we get to the procrastination without you knowing about it.
From the back.
Yeah, exactly. Without too much of a guard.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. You haven't helped me yet, but we need a proper session.
And
don't we?
obviously, with goals and things like that, it's only a goal if you've got a lot of emotion behind it. If you haven't got, because anybody can say,
I get
want to
fed
be a
up with this.
millionaire or
Yeah.
want to win the lottery.
Well, we all want that, don't we?
How many people put a pound on the lottery? Who keep saying this?
Do you help your family and friends?
Yeah, I've helped quite a few of my family members. Help me.
Do mates rates, do you, then?
Yeah, mates rates, yeah. I can do mates rates. I'll probably get loads more mates now.
So we could all use a bit of coaching. I think you're just trying to drum up business. Is business good, though? These are hard times, and maybe yours could be seen as a bit of a luxury, your industry.
Yeah, and it's quite a sensitive thing as well. A lot of people don't actually know that they can deal with, say, a phobia or post-traumatic stress without, the usual routes of going to GP or counselling. So a lot of people aren't actually aware that I'm existing, or somebody like me,
somebody in your profession. Yeah.
So,
but you think even in these hard times, you don't consider your business a luxury?
It depends on how you define luxury. Because if you were, say, a darts player and you want to become professional, if I was your ticket to become professional, would you class that as luxury, or would you be quite content with just being an amateur or for the rest of your life? And then
it's a gamble, though, isn't it? You might be bringing in quite a bit of money, or even just scraping through in your current profession or job, and you've got this idea you might be a darts player, but actually, even with your intervention, you might not make it. So it turns into a gamble. So maybe in that extent, it is a luxury.
Obviously, I can't hypnotise a person to become a professional darts player if they haven't got the skill. Well, unless they've got their own sort of psychological techniques, way of dealing with stress and anxiety and things when you got a professional tournament, for instance, because obviously it's that anxiety state that makes them start shaking. It releases all the chemicals.
Yeah, it's another one of those sports where the shakes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fascinating world, Mark, and wish you all the best of it as well. But it's been going for many years. I don't really need to give you.
Yeah, it's been hypnosis was coined in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So
have you been working on me, by the way, while we've been talking?
How would you know?
I would never know. Start barking like a dog in the middle of the night. My guest today has been Mark O'Donoghue. He's a life coach. Purple Smart is his company. It's fascinating speaking to you. Bus driver's a coach. He almost works as a joke, doesn't
he? Coach driver to being a coach,
Thanks for talking to us today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
No